as the Tigers get ready to have Tarek School take the mound at 10:05 Eastern Standard Time against the A's in Sacramento. Figure we go a little early tonight, and as we preview the series and talk about what happened last week in the minor leagues, and of course with the big league club. Welcome to another episode of Tigers Minor League Report podcast here at TigersMLReport.com. I am Roy Haley Castillo. Alongside me is Chris Brown. I think Brandon should be on. I'm not 100%. Probably join us at some point. If not, I think he might still be on vacation. We'll see. Please like and subscribe to our channel. And there's our Facebook page. There's our Patreon and our Instagram, which has been... I've been making more of a point to post more on there as I can. I just posted a video on Riley Green, who joins a very small list. And this is a list Chris and I have been talking about all week, where it's only Tony Clark, Lance Parrish, Jason Thompson, Spencer Torkelson, Curtis Granderson, Bobby Higginson are the only players that hit 30 home runs while being drafted by the Tigers. Now, Suarez, Castellanos, I believe somebody else, they were drafted by the Tigers, but they hit 30 home runs elsewhere. Those names I just mentioned. And Clark did it 3 times. He did it in 98, he did it in 97, and he did it, 3 consecutive seasons where he hit 30 or more home runs was 97, 98, 99. Lance Parrish did it. He actually set the major league record at the time for catchers with 31 back in 1982, and then hit 33 in 1984. Then Bobby Higginson hit 30 home runs even in the year 2000, and then Curtis Granderson did it in 2009. That's when he started selling out for power, of course, and then Torkelson did it just a few years ago in 2023. So, interesting list. There was some comments about it. Well, how come the Tigers don't have any more players that were drafted?
Well, they only did a really good job of drafting and development in the 70s and, basically the last decade, right? I mean, we've talked many, many times, and you've mentioned a bunch of times just how awful the drafting and development was in the 80s and 90s, right? Like, they just didn't have anybody. No, you mentioned every now and then they would get somebody, and it's Clark or Higginson. But, yeah, certainly not to the level that they did in the 70s and what we're seeing from them right now. So, I don't know. It's most of the historic great Tigers players came before the draft, right? Greenberg, Gehringer, Kaline, Cobb, all those guys were long before the draft. So.
And I don't want people to think I'm disparaging the Tigers when I mention it. It's facts. It is facts. It's facts. I'm not pointing this out to be a negative Nancy or what have you. Case in point, like we're just pointing out, Jake pointed out, the Mudhens and Whitecaps have been rolling up too, and that's a good stat there by C. Riley Green's barrel rate is comparable to Cal Riley this year. He's only 24 years old, but I mean, you look at, and it was something that occurred to me in Erie, and I have something for you to share with the audience. I shared with you last week. I'm just trying to find it right now. That it was a cool piece of history that I never thought. I've heard rumors about it. I wasn't sure how legitimate it was, but
cool.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. And I'm trying to find it right now, and it's driving me nuts. I cannot.
Yeah, I mean, the Tigers just historically, when they were very good in the early 80s, they were not necessarily a power hitting team, if you will. Like they had a whole bunch of well-rounded players, which is kind of what they're doing right now. Trammell and Whitaker were great at everything. They weren't huge power hitters. I think Lou did eventually. Did he get? He never got to 30.
No, I don't think so. No, he hit 25 or 26 in the 90. I want to say maybe in the mid-20s, maybe.
Let's see, 28 in 1989. So he almost got there. Okay. I don't think Tram ever really got close. Maybe in 87.
The year he won MVP was probably the closest, I think.
Trammell 28 and 87. So they both got within 2. So yeah, I mean it's a pretty rare thing to see. I think we're used to seeing other players around the league, hit 30, 40, 50 home runs relatively consistently, but we don't see it a lot from the Tigers, so it's kind of a fun era right now. And let's see, how many does Carpenter have? 21.
Yeah, I think he has 21. Yeah, Chris or Robert. Yeah, the audio right now. He says your audio is a little low, Chris.
Oh, I'm trying to. Let me play around with
the gain a little bit there.
Well, I'll just. I don't know. Maybe I'll change.
No, I think it might be on my end too, though.
How's it sound now?
Perfect. Oh, that's a lot better. Okay.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I was on the wrong audio out, but I guess.
So let me
And
share this. Okay. So what's up? Go ahead.
oh, I was just saying if Robert Denduven can
Oh,
confirm that I sound better, or hopefully. Oh,
let's
there you
see
go.
if
That's
I can.
cool.
All right. Let's see here. I just want to share a window if it lets me. Okay. So right here, ladies and gentlemen, is some very, very cool piece of history here.
Hmm.
So I had a chance to talk to one of the. So Quinn Smith, who is Randy Smith's son, works for the Erie Seawolves, and he showed this is a piece of history that Randy Smith, he doesn't have a lot of memorabilia, but the one piece of memorabilia he does have is this, which is the Tigers agreed to terms in a trade for Bernie Williams in exchange for Mike Drumright and Roberto Duran. And at the last second, Dave or Steinbrenner canceled it. See how it was faxed over and everything too.
Yeah,
And
it was
yeah,
complete and everything.
crazy.
But yeah, that's nuts because I mean, you look back and that would have been a horrible trade for the Yankees. But
Yeah.
although let's see, when were Bernie Williams' best years? I'm looking. Oh yeah, well he was, and that was 97 or 99.
That would have been in the it was in November 97.
So yeah, boy, Bernie Williams was consistent, like a 5 WAR player for 6 consecutive years, 97 through 2002.
Okay.
Yeah, that would have helped. Would have helped the Tigers, but
Yeah.
instead they had Mike Drumright.
Yeah. And look, the more you look at the history of that era, there's so much that Randy Smith could have done. I mean, everybody always gives him a lot of crap for being a bad GM, but he did start a lot of things that are going on right now that are the agreement with the West Michigan Whitecaps, the agreement with the Seawolves. He got them into international scouting. So there's a lot of things he did that were good, but there's only so much you can do when you can't spend money. But anyways, different era, different time, all that. But I thought it'd be a cool piece of history to share there for the podcast. So yeah, I was out in Erie last week. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. But the Seawolves have been struggling as of late just because the pitching hasn't been good, and they ran into a wall probably with the Nationals' best prospect, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it depends on how you feel about Eli Willits, the first overall pick this year,
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
or Travis Sikora, who went down for Tommy John surgery. But yet, Harlan Susanna is one of the more ridiculous pitchers in minor league baseball.
Yeah. He's a beast. He struck out, I think, was it 23 Seawolves in 2 games?
Yeah, and as Sam pointed out, did not win Eastern League Pitcher of the Month somehow. He gave up 1 run, right? To the solo home run to McGonigal. That was it. But
Yeah. And that was a ball that was an absolute blast. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw, for everybody who missed that home run, we posted it pretty much everywhere we could. But that home run was one of the furthest balls that was ever hit out of that ballpark. And it was something that I think Greg mentioned it too, correct? That it was one of the
yeah,
first, yeah.
I think Greg said the only other home run he's seen hit over that building was Stephen Moya, which
Yeah.
makes more sense. But McGonigal's got electric bat speed, incredible bat to ball skills. That was a 100-mile-an-hour pitch up and in, and he just turned on it like it was nothing. And the launch angle, and the thing just kept going. That's super impressive because Baseball America had a fun little tidbit about Susanna in their hot sheet. He basically has given up 3 hard hit balls all month, and McGonigal's was the only one that was a home run. So, yeah, really special.
Yeah, it was funny because somebody tried to point out that, like, you guys didn't point that out with McGonagall with it, and JJ had to put in the sentence what exactly was said about how, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, yeah.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it was a series too where a lot of little mental errors kind of thing. I sat in for 3 games in the doubleheader. They got swept in the doubleheader on Wednesday, and then they came back on Thursday and won in on a walk-off action by Carlos Mendoza, single to right, where Delano the Shields, the manager of Harrisburg, had the infield draw it in, and he did a really good job of just flicking it over. And then Briseño, who had 2 hits that game, I thought was I thought the first 2 games of that series, admittedly, I thought he looked a little fatigued because it was the first time he caught 4 in a row in his career, and yeah,
That's
it
asking
showed
a
a little
lot.
bit.
Asking
Yeah,
a lot of anybody. They don't even Dingler doesn't usually catch 4 games in a row. So yeah, I think Briseño is we've kind of theorized before that he may be hitting a wall here. He hasn't played this many games in the season before. He hasn't caught this many games in the season before, and he just looks a little bit out of sorts at the plate. He's not chasing or anything like that. He just seems to be taking pitches, and he's down 0-2 in like every at bat, and then he has to battle. So it's just something about his approach. He needs to maybe refine that a little bit, but whatever. He's 20 in Double A. He's doing just fine. Even if he has to spend all of next year in Erie, he's doing just fine. So not
yeah,
too worried about him.
yeah. And I saw today Lynn Henning was saying Clark and McGonigal in Double A was fine, and I was like, yeah, that's what we've been saying. There's no. Can he play right now? Can McGonigal play in the major leagues right now? Sure. Is there any room for him? No. Like we said this last week, and we'll say it again. He needs regular at bats. LOL. Which, sorry, there was a tweet earlier from Pat Caputo about he was playing about West Michigan, and I don't know what the LOL was for. It was
He was laughing out loud, I believe, or maybe possibly lots of love. Maybe that's Pat's sign off now. Lots of
not.
love, Pat Caputo.
Don't call him the book though, because he'll get mad.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, the Erie's just been kind of in a funk. I mean, I think we maybe took for granted the fact that losing Max Anderson, Trey Cruz, Eduardo Valencia, and Chris Myers all around the same time, probably not great for the team. There's McGonigal and Clark are very good players, but that's a lot of experience, a lot of veteran savvy and good baseball talent to lose at one time, and they're struggling. But to your point, it mostly seems to be the pitching. The pitching is just kind of falling apart. But I don't know. I mean, we can get into Erie more when we get into Erie if we want.
Yeah.
It was a 5-1 week for the Tigers. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I was gonna say yesterday was one of those games where Jekyll or Jackery, what was it, Flaherty, Jekyll and Hyde. There was a name you guys called it on Thursday, and I can't remember what it was, but
Oh, I don't remember that. But yeah, I mean, Flaherty is just so up and down. And who is it? Is it our buddy Joey? Is he the Detroit Tigers commentator or whatever?
yeah,
Who was pointing out that Flaherty's numbers, like, he's getting beat up almost exclusively by non-playoff teams and pitching well against playoff teams. It's very odd. So who knows? Who knows if he's just struggling to get up for games that don't matter, or what's going on? But that was a bizarre Sunday game where they really got kind of ambushed early, but fought back in a way that we got used to seeing them do last year, I think, but not maybe quite as much this year. But I don't know, last couple of weeks they've looked a lot like the team from last year, which I think has been fun.
yeah. That was a game where the offense on Sunday they did everything they possibly could, but then the bullpen gave it back right back up, and it was funny. At one point they had Montero warming up a couple times, and then I was joking around with Cody about like when was the last time Montero was used, and Keenly eventually got in there. They're trying to pick and choose their spots there, but yeah, the offense did everything they could to keep the team in the game. But the Royals are one of those teams too, where Vinny Pasquarino, by the way, that's a large man. I mean, you can't make a lot of mistakes off those guys because you got Witt there, you have Garcia. That's a pretty potent lineup, and that Yastrzemski deal, I really like them for a lot to put him on the top of the order. That's been a really good difference maker for them. But it's just a matter of I think the Royals are kind of underachieved a little bit based off that line talent because they really have a lot of offensive firepower. That's probably the best team I've seen in the AL Central this year in terms of bats.
I mean, they haven't been doing it this year. That they're still a bottom 5, bottom 6 offense in baseball. It's just the talent, like you said, like Pasquantino hasn't been doing this until like the last 2 weeks. He's been really good. I think he hit home runs in 5 straight games and like maybe 6 out of 7 or something like that. But it was kind of Bobby Witt on an island for most of the year, and it did feel like that was because they do have good pitching for sure. And I give the Tigers credit for Seth Lugo and Michael Waka are quality pitchers that pitched. I think they both pitched in the playoffs last year, and Tigers did a good job of battling and knocking them around. Ryan Burker managed to shut them down, but that was a fun moment there on was that Friday night where Riley Green, they bring in Angel Zerpa to face Riley Green because it's a lefty-lefty matchup. It's the right move, and then Riley Green punishes him for a 2-run homer, ties the game, and then the Tigers go on to win. So it was, I don't know, that was a fun series. It's always a bummer when you lose the last game of a series, but they went 5-1 against the Astros and the Royals. That was one of the better homestands of the year, so you can't complain too much. But it's just like all things being equal, I guess you'd rather lose the first game and then win the next 5. But now they're heading out to the West Coast, and historically speaking, we used to talk about how they performed, I think, against Oakland or in Oakland, but they're not in Oakland anymore. Now they're playing in a minor league stadium, so it'll be interesting to see how they handle that, playing at a minor league ballpark out in California after a long trip.
And one thing too about this series in the homestand, where the Astros came in, not offensively speaking, not doing anything. However, the weekend over Baltimore, they came out and their bats were swinging. They scored 10 runs on Friday, 9 runs on Saturday. Their pitching couldn't, although the Orioles stormed back on Saturday, and then the Orioles took the last game of the series 3-2 on Sunday. That's still a team where the Tigers still punched them in the mouth and caught them at the right time, because that Houston offense, when it's clicking, is a pretty good ball club. And so that was the schedule. I've been talking about this for a while, and it made me realize that I was maybe perhaps wrong about this. The strength of schedule doesn't really matter right now. I mean, you can run into a team at any given time, and you can face a team that, like, just a case in point with the Orioles, or excuse me, with the Astros right now. On paper, yes, this is a team that should have came in and given the Tigers more of a challenge, and they did the first game or two, but it was interesting to see they caught the Orioles. I keep wanting to say the Orioles. They caught Houston at the right time, and so Kansas City came in too, kind of rolling along a little bit, and the Tigers kind of put them down a little bit. So
yeah, and let's see, what are they? I'm trying to look at. Are they still considered Oakland? I'm looking for the A's to see how they've done this.
They're just the A's.
I'm checking here on athletics. So yeah. Oakland is Oakland. The Athletics are 11-8 in their last 19 games. So they're, and the Tigers are 13-7. So the Athletics are playing pretty well. So don't be shocked if this is a tougher series than you might think. Oakland, I'm just going to call them Oakland forever. They have more offensive talent, and they have some sneaky pitching always. So you hope that Scooble can go out there and set the tone, but we'll see. It's never easy going on the West Coast to play.
Yeah, JT Ginn might go out and spin gold for all we know. I mean, it's
JT Ginn, former first-round pick of the Dodgers, I think. Went to Mississippi
or
State, blew
out.
out.
The Mets.
I think the Dodgers drafted him too, and then he didn't sign.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right. Okay.
Because he went to Mississippi State, and that's just a classic A's player. Some guy who has some hype and talent at one point, disappears for 5 years, reappears on the A's, and does well. It's Brett Rooker, but and then they play Kansas City again. So I don't know. The season feels like it's kind of all over but the crying. I don't want to. You don't want to necessarily say it's a foregone conclusion at this point, but 30 games left. They're up by 10.5 in the division.
Yeah.
I think they're playing for bigger things now, right? You're playing for best record in the AL, playing for home field advantage, playing for winning 90+ games, and they can do that, but they got to keep playing like they've been playing the last 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, they really have to. I think the biggest thing is just to stay healthy. They're getting guys back right now. They're getting guys. Of course, my mic's been acting up today. They're getting guys back right now. They're, as far as pitching wise, I'm trying to think, right now. Although Brant Herter has been going to be kind of shut. He hasn't pitched since he got to Toledo. Found out because of a sore back he has, which is unfortunate. You have the Alex Cobb pitching down in Toledo, and his rehab time is running out here. And then Jose Urquidy is also scheduled to come back at some point soon. And what was it? The Paul Stewart pitched a bullpen session on Saturday. Said he felt fine. So they have some decisions to make on that. Arms come back as September 1st rolls around next week. September 1st is already next Monday. Is that right?
I think so. Today's the 25th, so
Yeah.
let's see. Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe that. Feels like yesterday the Tigers were going on an epic run last year, and we're already back here. So, yeah, but the Tigers been one of the best teams in baseball over the last year, and now we're just trying to figure out, trying to get it in line for them to put together the best possible roster here down the stretch without, you can't make trades anymore, but they've got a lot of options. It's just about finding the right ones for the final few weeks of the season.
Oh, by the way, Brandon said he's got a new laptop. It hasn't arrived. Computer should be he should be backing up and running next week.
All right.
No problem, Brandon. Hopefully, back on the mends. But thank you, sir. But yeah, as far as Meadows goes, Jake, there's no timetable as of yet. He's still Hinch mentioned that I believe on Saturday. There's no timetable as of yet when he's going to come back. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was. What did they say in the injury update? He's doing all the baseball activities, not necessarily sprinting at full strength yet.
Yeah, correct.
It's one where you want to be, what was it? Is it quad with him?
I believe, yeah, it was a quad. Yeah, it's a quad.
Anytime you have those leg muscle injuries, you really want to be careful and take it super. Just think of Kerry Carpenter at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, right, with the hamstring stuff. It's just like you can try to play through it, but one little setback and you're on the shelf again for the rest of the year. So just being careful with there. I'm sure they want to get him into a handful, maybe 14, 15 games down the stretch. So I don't know. I guess I would look for him to start rehabbing soon and then back with the Tigers in the final week or so.
Yeah, they definitely need his defense a little bit because Jones is serviceable out there in the outfield. As doing his thing against lefties, Jones has been hitting. He had a couple hits on Sunday, but yeah, you really need his glove out there. I know the Meadow struggled a little bit this year with his glove in the brief time we did see him out there a little bit, but he's more than capable of that. And Jones, by the way, is 9 for his last 30, so he's batting just over 300 right now. So he's starting to kind of figure things out a little bit. But yeah, his glove is, you can maybe slide him over. What's nice about Meadows is it does give you another very solid glove out there, and you can slide Jones in a platoon situation, whatever you would decide to do with that.
Yeah, it's weird. They went from nobody hitting at all to basically everybody hitting at an average or above average level these days. It's like Torres is still scuffling a little bit, but he seems to be coming back around. It's basically Baez, Torres, and Rogers are the only ones who are not hitting. I guess Sweeney maybe now too, but everybody else in Jones is coming up big in the spots where he's making the most of this opportunity. So yeah, it's nice to have the pieces to mix and match. I think you said that Bobby Scales told you that all things being equal, AJ Hinch probably would rather have just players he can put in the lineup every day. I'm sure he misses being able to say. Hey, Alex Bregman is playing third. Carlos Correa is playing shortstop. George Springer is playing center. Let's do it. Altuve is playing second, right? Like you don't have to worry about it. But he's really good at mixing and matching. So, and it's kind of the strength of this team, really, is finding all the advantages they can. So, they're not going to change now. And Meadows gives them one more piece.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where I think that he likes the position versatility that he does have. Like he'd rather maybe perhaps have some set of guys, but either way, what Hinch has done with his lineup is just really good. And so it's now a matter of how you square up your bullpen here in the next couple of weeks, and that's where it gets a little dicey for me because you have Casey Mize and Flaherty struggling a little bit, and so now it's positioning yourself to go get your number 2, number 3 starter ready to get going for the playoffs. And you want to make sure your house is in order. And there was a really good article by Cody Saberhagen today on Tarek School, who pitches tonight, and how he's getting ready for the playoffs a little bit. So people were wondering if there's something wrong or off with him, and he's just kind of prepping for the long run.
Yeah, it's I'm not too worried about Scooble, right? He was looking a little iffy against Houston, and then absolutely turned it on, and then it was, what was it, 7 scoreless in that game.
Yeah.
The great matchup with Hunter Brown. It is odd that like it just feels like any given outing from Flaherty and Mize could go completely south, where they give up, like, as you say, was it yesterday, 7 straight hits for Flaherty, something
Yeah.
like that. And then he was okay for the rest of the outing until and he went back out there in the 6th and put 2 men on, and then they came around to score. But so that makes you worry, right, about a playoff matchup where it's something like that. You go sideways quickly and the game's lost, and that's huge. So I don't know. I'm curious how they're going to structure the postseason rotation. I would assume it's still going to be Flaherty number 2, but it would not shock me if Morton is their number 2 starter heading into the playoffs. He had one blow up start too, but he's looked pretty solid in the other ones, and he's got a lot of playoff experience. So that wouldn't shock me to see him. And who knows? If they bring back Urquidy and Cobb as kind of long relievers, then they might not even have traditional starters in the playoffs, if that makes any sense. They might kind of just break out pitching chaos right there in the playoffs out of nowhere. Seems unlikely, but they've got so many options coming up. It's going to be really hard to figure out what they're going to do. We just have to wait and see.
Yeah. By the way, somebody gave us some grief because I said Sacktown, and they blocked us on Twitter for it.
What?
Yeah, Sacktown. Really? You think imitating the Annalise of Jim Rome is your ticket to immortality?
What?
I don't listen to Jim Rome.
Sacktown, short for Sacramento, California, is the informal nickname for a city, which is the capital of California.
Yeah. Where did you pull that answer up, by the way?
That's on Wikipedia?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of don't understand that. Anyway, I'm sorry about that, folks. I didn't mean to take over the show like that. I was just went to go on Twitter to get something and saw that comment and was just kind of blown away by that because it's literally no harm intended. So anyway, oh boy. As we were saying, so yeah, as we were saying.
So we were just talking about what their playoff rotation is going to look like, and we still don't really know. It's, I guess, one positive thing that came out of the kind of rough outing yesterday is that Tommy Kahnle was able to get back on the mound, and he looked good. He was, the changeup was working. He was throwing harder than he has in a little while, and it mystified me a little bit that people kept talking about him getting cut. Because he was so good for the first 3 months of the year. Like, he was really good. And he does, when he's good, he gets righties and lefties out at the same clip. And that's something that they really value out of a bullpen arm, right? That's one of the things they like about Will Vest. And they like about Finning because the splitter, that if you can get guys out from both sides of the plate, then, become platoon proof. And that's a key weapon for them in the late innings. And Kahnle just kind of fell apart there for the last 2 months. But I don't know. Given how good he was earlier in the year, I didn't think they were going to give up on him and just cut him. So it'd be nice to see him maybe string together 5, 6, 7 scoreless outings down the stretch so they can rely on him again as their, like, a third option there for the final 3 innings. Because right now it's just Vest and Finnegan, and who knows? Like, Hinch keeps going to Tyler Holton because he doesn't really have many other opportunities or options, but I think they'd like another solid arm there.
Yeah, and that's where I think sort of Gibson Long at some point should get some consideration. He hasn't really gotten a lot of looks either.
Well, yeah, he's been pitching in Toledo. They've had it's just been odd. They've been giving all these guys like 2, 3, 4 inning outings. And I don't know. I'd love to know what their process is right now to figure out who's going to make the team down the stretch, who's going to be on the playoff roster, who's coming up for the when they expand the roster by 2 players, because it's hard to know. It doesn't necessarily seem based on performance or anything like that. It's just going to be kind of who's healthy and who they think might provide a different look for them.
Yeah, and that's where like the music, the entire, like, it's almost like music pay, like it's somebody who uses their entire orchestra of people. Like, just it's a deep, it's pitching chaos. It really is. I know that orchestra is a weird example of that, But it's just really weird to me when you think about that. Oh, so Jake, thank you. He said the jersey pretty safe sack down. Pretty sure. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate that. Just a matter of when you can go out there and what I mean by that for that example is like sometimes if you are you familiar with Frank Zappa at all, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay, he uses xylophone a lot. Not a lot of guys use the xylophone in his music. And I almost feel like in a way that Hinch kind of takes certain things that brass. I mean, I'm no I don't know nothing about that, but I look at like the way he uses instrumentation like that. Just uses different instruments to go out there and whatever has to get done, and that aside, like that's part of the pitching chaos a little bit. It's just he's just out there conducting it the best way he can. Okay, we're gonna get a little bit out of you, string section.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all my musical knowledge is in there. So, um, and then as far as Troy Mullen goes, I think they're gonna try to they're gonna stay under that 50 inning threshold because they're trying to be careful with that arm. That's a very good arm. And it was funny. I was telling Chris about this Saturday, or what was it? Yeah, I'm sorry, it was in there Sunday. And he goes, Rogelio, and I was like, "Hey, man!" And it's weird because I sometimes don't think of myself as people knowing my first name like that. And he goes, "Edward Valencia, number one prospect, man." And I'm like, "Are you joking?" Or he's like, "No, I'm being serious." We'll get to Valencia here in a second too, but he's like, "No, he's a great guy. He's been doing some great work and everything." So it was really cool to hear that. But Melton going out there and getting both lefties and righties, and I mentioned this on the FanDuel Sports broadcast, is that, and that's been effective. And it's the thing is, Chris, is like you want that other reliever to step up so you can preserve Melton towards October, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I think they're probably happy or will be willing to let him go another 25 innings or so, and if that's out of the bullpen, then they shouldn't have an issue giving him. He's coming in to pitch every 4 days or so, and then if he's in the postseason, then maybe he earns a more prominent role pitching every other day. But yeah, like he came right in and threw a pretty bad pitch. Right, it was a cutter that broke right over the heart of the plate to Bobby Witt. Uh, and sometimes that'll happen. I think one of the things that young pitchers learn sometimes is they feel like they can get away with strike one at times, just fired in there, and sometimes hitters will just ambush them and they go whoops.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe don't do that next time. But yeah, I mean, if you're just talking about like pure arm and stuff, it's Melton's probably right behind Vest in terms of like just bat missing ability there out of the bullpen. And the pure stuff is probably better than Vest down the road, but for right now, so it's just I think trying to get him comfortable in this one inning role or these three batters or whatever they need, and it's not the worst idea, right? Because they have such a big lead, they don't need. It sounds bad, but they don't need to go out there and win every day with their starter. They can kind of hope that Chris Paddock figures something out during his outing, and the offense shows up and they win that game. And if not, it's not a big deal. But they really want Melton to be able to get key outs down the stretch and in the playoffs. So it's a strategic thing. And then beginning next year, if he stays healthy as it were, I think we'll see Melton probably as their number 5 starter or number 4 to begin the season.
Yeah, and that's the would be ideal considering that all the injuries have happened across the system too, which we'll get here in a second in the farm moves portion of the show, which is a little bit to me a little bit concerning. That we have another potential. It's just it was happened over the weekend with Sanchez, and we've been getting requests about this. Like, so are you guys going to bring this up and about the injuries? And it's what as much
We've
as
talked about it.
yeah, we talked about it numerous times, but it's like I'm just maybe compare it to other organizations, perhaps. That's probably where we should start with, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, well, the hard thing is that it'd be one thing if we could compare it to like other big league teams and go, oh yeah, man, they've got 4 starters out or whatever, and it's hard to know every single minor league team's injury issues, but certainly the Tigers, it feels like just about every arm in their system has been injured at some point this year, to most of them to pretty severe levels of degree, like guys who are just out for the year, or we haven't heard from anything from. Jake Miller was out in what, May, and we thought he'd be coming back by July, and just nothing. Montalvo was out for a while, and then it turned out he was out for the year. All the young guys, Owen Hall, Ethan Scheffelbein, Jackson Jobe, a lot of their arms got hurt, and I don't know. Like, we've talked about it, and it's the sort of thing where it's just really hard to kind of pin down what among the many variables is the issue, because they've been very deliberate about keeping these guys to low pitch counts and low inning counts, and working them in, gaining strength and pitching with proper mechanics. And I don't know, pitching is just bad for you. It's not good for your arm, and sometimes you get hit with a rash injury. Sometimes you stay healthy. I certainly, if I were the Tigers, I would be looking and pouring a lot of resources into making sure that we're not doing something wrong or seeing what we can do better. But I don't know. I don't think they're like doing anything completely detrimental to the players. It just sort of has happened.
Like Deadly Ninja Bee said, I sliced my leg open with my own toenail today. It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but the amount of injuries, I guess, is where it's kind of alarming. But yeah, I understand why people would be concerned. It is a matter of, especially when it comes to the draft picks. I mean, you're seeing things like, for example, that trying to think of the Michael Massey, for example, still hasn't pitched at all since he's been drafted.
Yeah, and what's odd about it is, I mean, through last year, Ty Madden had been kind of the most durable pitcher in the system. We talked about it was Ty Madden and Montero. And Madden just kept making outings, was never hurt. And then this year comes out in spring and is immediately hurt and has been out for the year. Montero is just always healthy. He's not throwing as hard as he once did. And I don't know if there's something going on there, but he just is healthy. And they just, I don't know what happened, but they kind of relegated him back to Toledo for a while now. And I thought we might see him at some point, but he's just kind of hanging out there. I thought he'd be another option for the bullpen, honestly, but haven't heard any whispers of that. So, yeah. But he's healthy. I mean, he's one of their better young pitchers. It's just not a part of the big league team right now.
And one of the things that was another call of Drew Summers, who they acquired for Mason Englert, made his MLB debut, and that was a promising thing. Summers is, as far as just a guy who really came out of nowhere. I mean, it came up, had a really good, strong appearance in Erie, kept it up in Toledo, had one of the better swing rates in terms of miss rates by pitchers out there. And so that's another example of, okay, the development win. They got a lefty. The Tigers could use more lefties, and there you go.
Yeah, a very under-the-radar move. They made those two kind of small DFA trades with the Braves, right? It was Mason Englert and Alex Faedo. And, Summers, not much of a prospect at all, and they liked a lot about him, and they got him up to the big leagues. And now what you hope is he got squeezed in that. I don't know if that was his first outing or it was his first outing, but it was his second inning of work, right? Like he got one out to end the inning, and he came back out and put two men on. But in one of those at bats, it looked like he threw 3 strikes that weren't called. Part of that is probably just it's a really funky arm angle with a ton of extension, and it's probably hard for the ump to see it too. But that does look like a useful arm. They just need to get him into some more outings. Yeah,
and probably we'll get some more outings this week against the A's, the Athletics in Kansas City this week. And we'll get some time because I know that against Kansas City, they wanted to feature more lefties. So let's look in the farm moves this week, as the Dylan Smith is also starting his rehab assignment appearance, and he I still don't know what happened. Did you know what happened, Chris? I mean, there was kind of like a
no. He's had plenty of injuries over the course of the last few years, and it usually seemed to be shoulder or forearm or whatever. I don't think he's ever had the full surgeries, but it just seems like it might be something that's always going to be nagging him. So, and he wasn't throwing particularly hard when he came back, but I wouldn't necessarily expect him to in his first outing back. It was just good to see him back on the mound.
Yeah, especially because he's on the 40-man roster, and you want as many healthy arms as possible. The Ryan Kreidler era has ended. He was designated for assignment, quickly picked up by the Pirates. And then our former website, Motor City Metrics, wrote "Good Riddance," and I thought that was kind of classless and dumb, considering that Kreidler wrote a really nice letter thanking the Tiger fans and thanking the Tigers for the opportunity to play here, and then you write that garbage, uncalled for.
No, that's when you have fans that just they don't. You don't have to go in and see these guys in the locker room or face them or whatever. You can go out and say whatever you want, and you just kind of. There are a lot of people. You see that all the time. Like with players who don't perform well, people act like they've won the lottery when they get designated for assignment or something like that. It's just kind of silly, right? Like Ryan Kreidler wasn't hurting anybody in AAA. He was hitting a bunch of doubles and he was fine. He was on the roster because he could play shortstop and center field, and I almost think that they did a little bit of a favor for him here.
Yeah,
Basically, like hopefully they talked to him and said, you're not going to be a part of this team going forward, so you can kind of waste away in AAA, or we can designate you now, and maybe some team will pick you up, and you get a tryout for them, and you can catch on with another team. And good for him. Hopefully he makes the most of it.
Yeah,
He's a quality person, solid player in the minors. He just never got it going in the big leagues. And I thought he would. When you go back, and this is a good, maybe a good aside right now to talk about AAA performance and stats at the end of the season, August and September, and what does it really mean? Because if you go back and look at what Ryan Kreidler did when he got up to AAA, it was really impressive. He hit over 300 with power, stole bases, was playing awesome defense at shortstop and third base. And he just kept getting hurt, and he never performed to that level again. And part of that, I think, is part of it was the injuries, but I think a lot of it is that what the talent level you see in AAA at this time of year is not good. It's these are guys who know how to play baseball. But anybody who is like really talented has been called up to the big leagues, right? Or maybe that's a little reductive, but most of the players who have that level of talent are gone. And so what you have are veterans trying to just survive, and maybe guys who came up from AA or aren't quite ready, and it just kind of hangers on. And so it's not. I mean, I would argue probably that the level of pitching in AA right now is better than AAA, as odd as that sounds. So it's hard to make too much of these stats right now. Not to
and that's
preemptively negate what we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where, you look at, like, for example, and by the way, I think it was Jake in our Discord mentioned that the Pirates needed some position help really bad, so it makes sense for him to go to the Pittsburgh. And also because it's the kind of Don Kelly profile anyway. I mean, they're size-wise and everything, too. But we had a question from one of our listeners who asked us about Trey Cruz, who's off to a really good start. And so this is where we're going to let's see here. He is, you don't want to dismiss it. So I want to make sure Ray emailed us the question. So he was talking about Trey Sweeney. He said, quote, I like that Trey Sweeney could handle the position until McGonigal's ready, but just doesn't seem like the answer until Javi plays center and AJ has been considered to play another position in the shortstop. I know the jump from AAA to the big leagues is significant, but based on the production as Mudhen, it appears that Trey Cruz could take on a Sweeney role and give the Tigers more positional value. So that's a good point, Ray, and I'd like to think that between him and Eduardo Valencia, who's been hitting the cover off the ball since he got to Toledo, so what's the difference between him and Trey Cruz? Well, Valencia has been, I think the biggest difference is to be hitting for power and average since Erie. And this is a guy who'd never done that before, ever. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who hit for like maybe 240 tops, but not that much power. All of a sudden he's hitting for power, and I did an article on him, and some of the numbers look legitimate. However, that transition, like talking about like replacing for Jake Rogers, hold the phone here. You have a veteran backup catcher who's really good with the staff. And not to say Valencia wouldn't be good with the staff or anything, but not right now in a pennant chase. You want as many veterans as possible. It was like I think as far as like where Valencia would be next year, I don't know. I don't know what the organization thinks of him. They think of him as a guy who could help if he's in Toledo versus being in an area where they have three catchers right now. But at the same time, I mean, I think between him and Nito, I think they've been splitting time. But you've been seeing him. Case in point, I believe it was Bly Madras got released. So Valencia's now taking pretty much over at first base, from my understanding.
He's been playing a lot of first base, a lot of DH, not catching as much with Nito and serving there. And I don't know, that tells you a little bit maybe. It's tough to know. Maybe they just want to get the best lineups they possibly can get out there. But yeah, it's really odd because he's been such a great offensive performer this year, and he can catch. So you would think that even if the Tigers, if they don't protect him from the Rule 5 draft, you would think somebody would take a flyer on him just because, right? Like, hey, give this guy, bring him in here and see what we can do. It'll be very interesting to see if they protect him or not. I think a lot of teams like to have a third catcher on the 40-man roster, but they also will need to protect Tyrone Lorenzo, even though, and that's one of those interesting cases where I don't know that anybody would take him in the Rule 5 draft, and if they did, I don't think there's a chance he would stick on the big league roster, but I don't think you can leave him unprotected just in case somebody does, and then, the prize from the Jack Flaherty trade is no longer yours. But he's really struggled down the stretch. So with Valencia and Cruz, these are two of the better performers in the upper minors this year, and it's we'll get a good idea of how much the Tigers actually view or care about performance versus kind of tools, and we'll get a good idea of how they feel about these players actually.
Yeah, because for Cruz, I think the pedigree of having, and I've said this numerous times, that having the pedigree of his family, of his father, and his grandfather, who was an Astro great, and his dad had a pretty good career in Toronto and was in Tampa. He's done a really good job. And any time that Cruz, like when you see his family, when it's a family outing, when they come up to Erie, a couple times I've seen his dad and his grandfather there. They're sitting there, they're taking notes. They're just like, and it's a whole process. And so I think it's really cool to see that. As far as like just Valencia goes, I mean, he hit for the cycle. I mean, that's no slouch or anything. I mean, there's not a lot of triple players that do that. And as far as September call-ups go, you're more likely to see maybe Malloy, maybe Long. You're not going to see too many. I just don't see them as much as I think Troy Cruz, with his versatility, playing multiple positions and being a switch hitter. You want a kind of a veteran guy. Malloy would be a good example of that. Malloy, you want to reward Malloy because Malloy's been doing pretty well down there too.
Yeah, you would think that they're just going to keep playing this kind of role playing game, as it were. We're finding some guys down in Toledo who they think can do something small that maybe they don't have on the roster right now, or help out. Maybe even at this point, right, they're so far ahead that maybe they look at some guys who can just give their regulars some rest. Maybe Malloy plays a bunch of left field instead of Riley Green. You give Riley Green some days off to keep him fresh, something like that, right? Like they have that luxury now because they have such a big lead. They don't necessarily have to think about, who's the top young prospect we need to bring up to get some exposure. Like maybe they will. Maybe they'll bring up Max Anderson or Hao Yu Lee or something like that. But I doubt it. I think you're right. It's probably going to be like Malloy and Kaiser Montero, or they do need to make room for Urquidy and Cobb at some point. So and Paul Sewald. So they've got a lot of potential moves that they have to make down the stretch. So it may not be a terribly exciting roster expansion for prospect fans, but it'll be interesting for sure.
And that's okay. I mean, for me, the team's contending for a potential championship, and that's fine. It doesn't, to me, whatever decision they decide to make on that is more likely going to be. It's just because what you mentioned earlier, Chris. These August numbers, dog days of summer in AAA are just as bad as like those hot days in summer. And Ty Cobb, there's a lot of people that share the sentiment. He says, I wasn't impressed with Malloy in the outfield. To me, he looks like a DH. That's fair. I mean, I think as a first baseman, he's been doing pretty well. I think he's holding his own at first. But as far as the outfield goes, is it part of just being out and left?
Yeah, again, like if they believed in Malloy's ability to be an outfielder at the big league level, he probably would have been up instead of Jahmai Jones, right? Like they didn't.
Yeah.
They like Malloy. I think he brings a lot of good things, but yeah, that's his limitation. That's his Achilles heel, is he's not a great defender anywhere you put him. Like you said, he looks solid at first base, but with Torkelson having this big bounce back year, there's just no rule for him.
Yeah. By the way, it was funny. Somebody mentioned. So when you guys go over the Weber report tonight, I started laughing. I'm like, wait, and it took me a second to realize, oh wait, that's a Toledo slide. So the Weber report name is now permanently sticking there, and so that's good to see. The stat of the week though, you hit out Rod. Look, the Tigers. It was a tale of two different farm systems this week for the Tigers. Harrisburg is the Senators' affiliate, and they took care of Erie pretty soundly. On the other hand, Toledo has made the Red Wings they out-hit them 71-31, folks. 18 home runs. The other day, it was, I think you were clipping, or both of us were clipping at the same time, because it was just the amount of offense. It was like one thing after another. Yeah. When West Michigan was doing the same. Meanwhile, West Michigan was also scoring a bunch of runs too.
Yeah, there were some avalanches going on. I think Rochester had to use position players multiple times, and their only win in that series was like a crazy comeback where I think Toledo was up by 5 and lost. They gave up 6 runs in the final 2 innings to lose.
Yeah, so Sillinger gave up that home run in the ninth, I believe it was.
Yeah, but they were just bombing them all series. Outscored them by 40 runs. Look at that slash line for a full week: 367, 460, 675. They just were demolishing them, and Toledo is making a legitimate run at the playoffs here down the stretch, which is kind of wild. They're the one full season affiliate who hasn't clinched yet, so it'll be tough, right? They've got 3-4 weeks left, but the way they're playing right now, it wouldn't necessarily shock me if they do it.
Yeah, and Toledo, look, as far as you gotta give tip of the cap to Gabe Alvarez, and I'm gonna try to go down to a couple games this week, because they're back in town. They are now, in terms of league games back, they're 4 back of Scranton, because it for some strange reason in the AAA side of things, it works a little differently. So it doesn't matter if you win the division or not. It makes no relevance. It makes no, to me, it makes no sense anyway. But so they have to catch up to Scranton, who has the best overall record right now. They're 36-15. Toledo is 32-19. So that's how that works. It's stupid, but I mean, whatever. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But anyway, so they have to catch up to Scranton essentially. But yeah, there's, as far as the rest of Toledo goes, Badu was, it was every other play he was scoring a run.
Yeah, what's wild is it felt like they had 3 or 4 different guys who could have won Player of the Week, and it went to Harold Castro for the second straight week. Yeah, he won it. He got it again.
Really?
Yeah, Castro went 14 for 25 last week with 3 homers, 4 doubles, and 14 RBIs.
Japan waits you, my friend. At this point, he's got to get some attraction from Japan, right?
You would think so. I mean, he probably already has. It's just up to him if he wants to go overseas, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you see Trey Cruz, monster week, 2 homers, 4 doubles, 12 runs scored, 8 RBIs. Valencia, 15 RBIs. He had 7 of those in one game. He scored, I think he drove in all of the runs in the one game. Just an RBI machine this week, but it helps with all, having everybody on base constantly. As you said, Badu, 12 runs scored. That's absurd. And I did mention the Melton quote there because I thought that was really fun that he talked to you about Valencia. That's just, I think Troy Melton seems like a pretty cool dude. But yeah, just a monster offensive performance. There's Malloy, 11 for 24 with 3 homers and 10 RBIs. That's like the 5th best hitter on the team last week. It's crazy. I didn't even put Young on there. I don't think. I don't know what he did last week. I just I ran out of space.
I know he had a pretty good. Yeah, I know he had a pretty good week too. I know he was hitting pretty well as well.
Let me check. Yeah. I will just. I didn't put it on the slide. Maybe I can add it afterward. But it was like there's just so many numbers to get on there that. See, Jace Young, 8 for 26, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, and a steal. So yeah, I need to put that on there real quick, just for
our Patreon folks. There we go.
Yeah.
And I didn't. That was my fault last week. I did not download them, and I will download them right after the show. That was my fault there. And yeah, so speaking of, like we were mentioning earlier with the Seawolves having I don't say a bad week, but they did. I mean, it was just a matter of. Like I said, Kevin McGonigal hitting that home run we talked about earlier, but he was rolling the ball over quite a bit on Wednesday and Thursday, and it was a lot of things. First and second, Clark was out with an injury. a hand injury, which was never revealed exactly what happened, but it was a little bit of a scare. We left the game on, was it Tuesday? And then I got there Wednesday and Thursday, and then I saw Clark pop out of the dugout on Thursday. Looked like he was fine, and then he played on Friday and for the rest of the weekend. And so, once again, I want to thank the Erie Seawolves folks, Greg, Sam, Jason, everybody. Jason, who made a graphic, a really cool graphic of Sacramento report, and plugging the website as much as possible. And on FanDuel Sports, we're on there Wednesday and Thursday. So really enjoyed the conversation, and it was just a fantastic couple days there. So as it was really weird because Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday, Wednesday and Thursday was fall like weather for that time of year in Erie, and it was kind of unusual. But that you got that lake effect in terms of the wind coming out the lake, and it really kind of played up a little bit. But anyway, I did see, and I did a write up for our Patreon folks on Andrew Sears. He looked really good. He looked the best out of all the Erie starters. Five innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts. Did a really good job of mixing his change up and slider and fastball, hitting the top of the zone, bottom of the zone, and he had some really good swing and miss stuff.
Yeah, he was a guy. It's kind of what you want to see, right? He came up in his first start, got bombed. He didn't miss many bats. It was like, well, that's tough. He stepped up a level, and the next 2 starts he got better, and then the last one we looked really good against. And you look again, you could look at the rest of the performances from the team that week, and they were all pretty rough. So he seems to be kind of living up to his potential. I think he's going to head into next year as he'll be back in Erie, I would assume, and probably as one of the 3 or 4 best starting pitching prospects in the system, if not higher. It's hard to think about like who else he's competing with there, but maybe some of the draft picks this year. But yeah, it's nice to see him move up a level and kind of adjust and succeed.
Yeah, I think Sears has the ability to pitch at the next level. I really believe that. Just based
Yeah.
that start was the fact that he was doing it in the zone too. He was getting guys to chase in the zone. I thought that was a good indication. But yeah, maybe a couple Double A this time of year too. You're seeing some prospects. I mean, Connor Griffin just got called up, so it's the opposite, right, Chris? I mean, is that fair to say? Because you've seen a lot of guys who were really hammering up in high A now are getting a Double A right now in the thick of the playoff race.
Yeah, I think sometimes at the end of the season, it's a reward, right? I mean, Altoona, though, I think is playing really well, and I think they're making the playoffs, or they've got a good chance to.
They have a good chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of expected it's sort of what we expected the Seawolves would do with McGonigal and Clark and Briseño, is that they could bring up these young guns and they're just going to take off, and sometimes it doesn't necessarily work, and it's not their fault really. It's like you said, the pitching just kind of has collapsed. But you see that toward the end of the year, a lot of the good younger talent. Leo DeVries moved up from high A to Double A. Walker Jenkins just went up to Triple A. So a lot of late season promotions for good prospects, and it does seem like it's a different dynamic in the leagues now.
Yeah, especially with the way that the Eastern League's been going this year. All the guys in Binghamton, for example, just got promoted to Syracuse. So that's another example of helping Syracuse down the stretch here. Campos, a couple of doubles. I mean, he's picking up a little bit, but I will say one of my notes about John Peck is he's very aggressive. First guy. I mean, he's a first swing kind of guy. He really is. Showed a really good arm at short. In that game on Wednesday, the first game, he had 2 of the 3 Erie's hits, and they were just getting. Just couldn't get anything going offensively, but Peck had it going in the 2 hits in the first game, and I think with Max Elba, there's some stuff there that shows that he could potentially be good. It's just he was just getting a little bit beat up a little bit too much.
Yeah, I mean, you and I, we both kind of thought that. I've always viewed him as a reliever. That's kind of the way he has always been used. I think they did start using him as a starter in West Michigan this year, but I don't know if starting in Double A is the best thing for him, or what his skill set is suited to. And for as good as Preston Howie has been as a starter in West Michigan, I'm not sure if that's his ultimate role either. But to the point we were talking about earlier, there have been so many injuries. They just need some guys who can go out there and give them innings. And And yeah, like Alba has interesting. He really spins the ball well. We've talked about it that a bunch. Like his fastball, it's got a ton of spin on it. He's got some good breaking balls. It's just, it's everything else is a little bit light, and maybe would play up more out of the bullpen.
So Mitchell was saying if we can't get McConnell to Detroit, should get him to Toledo. I just don't see who they're going to get rid of. That's the problem. You just signed. We forgot to mention this. They signed Kevin Newman, and no one knew about it. It was funny because I was going through the lineup to retweet the lineup I normally do for Toledo, and I was like, wait, Kevin Newman? What? And he was signed to replace Ryan Kreidler. And there was no announcement for it. And I guess through Harris on Saturday, he let the beat writers know. So,
Yeah, it's funny. I seem to recall Kevin Newman being like a top 10 prospect or top 5 prospect to Keith Law. Like nobody else had him that high, but Keith Law loved him, and it didn't quite work out.
yikes. I didn't know really that. Yeah.
When you make your you go out on a limb, sometimes you look smart, sometimes you don't.
That's okay. Yeah, right. So the Whitecaps, by the way, I mean to skip Lakeland. That's what I'm trying to do. They outscored Lansing 36-5. 36-5. It is somebody said on Twitter, and I agree with this. It's like a softball team out there.
Yeah, and that wasn't even like when you think about it. So the first 5 games, it was 19-5, right? So they're averaging just under 4 runs a game. Not crazy for that offense. And they went absolutely bonkers on Sunday, but the pitching was spectacular. I think their starting pitching gave up 1 run, maybe 2, all week. Howie didn't give up any runs. Let's see. Joe Miller gave up a run. Castillo didn't give up any runs. Elisalt didn't give up any runs. Minton gave up a run. So two runs from starters all week. And again, maybe Lansing has lost some of their better players down the stretch here, but it's just a complete team. They're really good in every aspect of the game, and it makes you want to laugh out loud.
No, it is. LOL, that's all you do is LOL. No, and I'm doing a video series because these video series I've been doing, I've been actually been well received. So I'm glad that you hear that. And one of them I'm doing on is this year's West Michigan team because it's just a matter of the domination of the level too. They have the best record in all of baseball, not just minor leagues. Better than the Brewers, better than the Tigers. It's
40-14 in the second half. That's nuts, and that's to go along with they ran away with it in the first half. So they haven't missed a beat. That's what's the craziest thing, right? Think about the players that they've lost. They've lost McGonigal, Clark, Briseño, Peck. Who else? Seth Stevenson.
Yeah.
Sears. Who else are we missing out?
Alba. Also
a
a pitcher too. I'm trying to think of.
They've had a couple other relievers move up and stuff. It's like, and so Pacheco is still down there doing his thing. You see it there. Brett Callahan has continued to perform pretty well. But the one thing I pointed out last week is it was just incredibly balanced. They had 7 different players with 3 to 4 RBIs last week. Everybody produced. Jackson Strong had a great week.
Garrett Pennington's been stepping up. Yep.
Yeah, Jack Penny has performed well, and then as we said, the pitching. Lucas Elisalt, his second outing, he started walking some people, but that was because there was a 9-run inning in there, and I think that 30-minute layoff is tough for any pitcher. But he continues to, he's not necessarily missing a ton of bats right now, but he's shown he knows how to pitch, and he's moved up a level. It's kind of like Sears, right? He's moved up a level and is showing that he can handle it, which is a good sign for next year. So, yeah, those are 2 of the more promising developments this year is Sears and Elisalt, I think.
Yeah. Also, it was funny to the point where one of our listeners, Lisa, was like, I guess it was Lakeland got rained out or something, or it was I think Lakeland got rained out, and she was watching Elisalt start instead, and it was a good time spent. And Castillo's pitched better as of late too. Castillo seems like he's gotten a little comfortable too, which is really weird because it's about the same time him and Reyes both got comfortable. Almost like simultaneously.
Yeah. And I don't know. And it's, I guess, kind of this time last year where they were both really stepping up. I mean, we had already talked about them and they made some moves, but maybe they're just fall performers.
Yeah. By the way, I love your line here. Rain in Florida in August, September. Who knew?
It's every year with like clockwork. They yesterday's they had a they had a game on Saturday that was postponed because of wet grounds, so they scheduled a doubleheader for Sunday that was postponed because of wet grounds. It gets real wet and rainy down there in this time of year. It's so yeah, it's going to be sporadic games, I think, for the last couple weeks of the season.
Goodman didn't come back yet, did he?
Yeah, he was back last week.
Oh, back. Okay, he was back. Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right. Flores, is he?
He came back.
Okay.
You know, he left that game.
Good.
It looked like he was throwing like 83. It was like, oh boy. He came back and it's still throwing 90, 91, but he got through an inning without giving up a hit. Got 2 strikeouts.
Good.
I really don't know what to wake because remember he was throwing like 10 miles an hour harder than that, like 2 years ago. And so I don't know, but yeah, just get him out in the mound and throw in some innings, and we'll see what happens.
This was the first time outside of maybe a couple clips, I did not watch Lakeland this week because I was primarily focused on Erie and Toledo. I had to pay attention to West Michigan a little bit, but Lakeland, I just could not had an opportunity to, because Wednesday, Thursday, and Thursdays, just between all those games, was just so jam-packed. So, admittedly, I had to do some catching up on Lakeland. I did watch the little bit of the Cash Cooper.
Cash Kuiper, I think.
Kuiper start. Yeah, I did record that. I did watch that the other day. I take that back. That was the only part of Lakeland I did watch, and he struggled a little bit with command, but there's some stuff there that are interesting. I can see why the Tigers took him. And Nick Dumasil, 5 for 11, double doubles. There was a really good article that Emily wrote for Baseball America on Nick. Should go check that out. Was there anything? Carson Rucker, the last couple weeks have been hitting the ball, and then he just came back down the earth a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It's just one of those things where you see, like, you give a guy 1 day off and then they lose 3 games, or 3 games get canceled, and so the stats aren't really there. So he still looked fine at the plate to me. He just didn't necessarily produce. Hurtado had that 2-homer game I think you caught for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so far, like, Goodman looks pretty good at shortstop. Like, he looks like a legitimate defensive shortstop and we've seen some offensive fireworks from him. Not necessarily crazy. I was really excited that Jesus Pinto, he's a guy that I think we would have talked a lot more about if he hadn't gotten hurt. He got hurt pretty early in the FCL season. And this is a kid who signed international last year. So he was part of the same class with like Jose Dixon that we were interested in, these guys. Ronald Ramirez, right? These guys that came over at the stateside. And Pinto was maybe the most toolsy of them. He's a legitimate like center fielder with some power and some speed. And he got hurt, and so he barely played in the FCL. And then he came back in his first game in the FSL. He's batting third for Lakeland. Hasn't played in 2 months, and he got a hit in his first at bat, and I think he got a sac fly in his next, and another hit in his third at bat, and then he got struck out a little bit, which is understandable. But this is a toolsy kid who I think we'll see what happens next year. But it wouldn't shock me if he kind of is one of those kind of arrow up guys next year that really people start to think about.
Definitely, he looked comfortable at the plate too. I mean, he did not seem like he was. There's a good hitters counts too as well. A little bit that I did see that was posted on our clips. Mitchell wants to know if Sausalito is a possibility can stick as a starter.
Well, I mean, we kind of talk about what makes somebody a starter versus a reliever, right? And a lot of it has to do with throwing strikes and the quality, the depth of your arsenal, how many different pitches you have, and kind of the how effortful your operation is. And he passes all 3 of those. Signs to me he's got a legitimate fastball, four-seamer, and sinker. He's got a slider that at times looks absolutely filthy. A lot of them kind of float in there, but every now and then he'll bury a back foot slider that's a plus pitch. And he's got a splitter that looks really good at times. So he's got the full arsenal. He throws a lot of strikes. Nobody hits him. His batting average against in pro ball so far is like 140. He gets lots of swings and misses. The big issue is that he's already a very large young man at a young age, and you have to keep that body in shape basically, and make sure it doesn't go backwards on you. And it's a slightly relieverish delivery, but it's not super effortful. So I mean, I think it would behoove the Tigers to continue developing him as a starter as long as possible. And if and when, if maybe down the road that command doesn't come along, but he's still throwing strikes, or maybe that the strikes go away a little bit, then you move him to the bullpen. But for now, no reason to suddenly stop his development and not continue stretching him out based on the way he's performed. He's he occasionally loses the strike zone, but 19 years old, throwing that hard, really impressive.
Yeah, and to me, I think you're gonna make him a reliever, as you mentioned, if we give him another choice, if there's some sort of metrics that will indicate that. But I think there's one thing that's been very encouraging with him and guys like Howery is that they be able to step into any role that's been given to him and go out there and give them innings, which I think just based off necessity. It's not like the they really have been, like we've mentioned this 1,000 times, the amount of injuries. So be able to go out there and do anything of like just a value has really unleashed guys that we probably would have not talked about before.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's you get the opportunity, you get out there and play, and we try to pay attention as much as we can. And there are always guys who slip through cracks, but there have been the requisite number of up arrow guys this year, and yeah, it's always fun. Like we talked about, we just redid our top 40 or whatever, and I think mine would change probably significantly by the end of the season. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, it is very, as you said, it's just the amount of changes I would make right now too. Goes. Yeah, it's just everything changes so quickly. So that being said, anything else that we want to go over on the?
No, I mean, yeah, the rookie leagues are done, at least for the Tigers. I think I mentioned it to you on the phone the other day when we were both driving back from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
The DSL this year had a new tournament where the top 16 teams made it in to this kind of tournament format, but neither of the Tiger teams made it. And that's, to me, that's like the one glaring issue with the farm system so far, and or not so far, but thus far in terms of like what Scott Harris has done, and really is not a glaring issue. But if you value the winning, they haven't figured out how to do it consistently at the DSL level yet, but maybe that's coming.
Yeah. So, but Stan. So nice. Chris does his time on schedule for TMR. Oh, because Chris was on the Days of War now back-to-back weeks, and so thank you for that, Evan, for having Chris on there. That's pretty cool of him to do that. And him and Jeff Pontus were on different segments, right?
Yeah, he asked if I wanted to join for Jeff, but I was driving back from Pittsburgh, and I was like, I don't want to be on the phone for this. That I just don't think it'll sound very good. But Jeff is a buddy of ours, and he's been good to us, and we've known him since before he made it to Baseball America. So he's a great dude, very knowledgeable. He's basically the one that tipped everybody off about Friend Bermontia. So I haven't had a chance to listen to the podcast yet. So I'm sure it was great. I've heard that he really likes Kevin McGonigal. So that would not make him unique among people who've watched Kevin McGonigal play.
It's been a banner week for us. I mean, I got to be on FanDuel twice, which was really cool.
I still need to go back and get that, and you've been on Erie broadcasts enough and West Michigan broadcasts a couple of years ago that we could start a playlist on YouTube of us just being on TV.
Yeah,
which we try not to make it about ourselves because we're trying to highlight these players, but at the same time, like who knows if this stuff goes away, it would be nice to have a record of it.
Yeah, like Jerry, Colin too. Like those guys have also made it on there. Uper made it on. Jeff Rowe.
Ryan Walsh has done has been great to us too. Putting us on basically one by one on the air every other week, I think, to talk to the Tigers. So
yeah, it is good, and I'm glad. And again, thank you for the opportunities. It was just really cool. What's up?
Stan said FanDuel. Where Stan? The FanDuel broadcast a handful of Erie Seawolves games over the past 2 weeks, and Raj was on, television, local television. I had a buddy Scott say. He sent me a text. He said, "Raj is on my TV right now?" Question mark. And I was like, "Yes, he is." I was like, "I'd love to be up there. I couldn't make it." And he's like, "Oh, they just mentioned you." I was like, "Yeah, that was nice of them." So that was very cool. And that was, the Erie guys tipped us off. They've been so good to us for so many years now. And they were like, "Hey, they appreciate what we've done for them, and we appreciate what they've done for us." And they were like, "If you guys want some more exposure, come out to these TV games. You're going to get more." And so Raj has done it, and the reviews were great, right? Like everybody seemed to love it. So
yeah, they said that I sounded better than I normally do on the podcast, which is it was weird, but at the same time, I just think it was just one of those things where I practice. I actually practiced it on the whole way there, and I was just trying to think about it. It's just doing a podcast and not thinking much about it really. And yeah, for anybody that was caught this, if it was interested, I could chop
Hitless
up a
third
little
inning
bit.
worked around a 2-out walk. And Raj, before we went to break, we were talking about the culture change across the Tigers organization, top to bottom, major league, minor league, etc. Ball almost hits Mendoza as he falls down into a push-up position to evade it. 1-1. And we talked about how Alan Trammell comes to UPMC Park fairly frequently.
Looked like I was holding an ice
as
cream cone.
kind of a roving coordinator with the Tigers. Lance Parrish was here for a book signing event last year. He joined me in the broadcast.
How they fit the three of you in there, man? That's not a big
It was
booth.
it was a tight fit.
Run last year, right around the same time of year as right now. And I said the young nucleus that you guys had in the early 80s leading into 1984 and the young nucleus in the major leagues right now, is there a similarity in your mind? Does it feel similar watching the Tigers go on the run that they went on last year? A nucleus of homegrown guys that they've only added to this
Well, I mean,
year,
they're
and he
stocking
said,
everything they can and moving
absolutely,
fast. And
almost
as soon as they get it, it
uncanny
goes out of the door. It's incredibly popular.
Oh, Dylan Ninja Beast said I should have done the voice.
Look at me, I'm a Tigers fan.
Look at me, I'm on the podcast. No, Stan, they're working on that. Like, I props to the merch team out there, Christy and her squad. It is literally when you go back there. I'm not kidding you, Chris. You've seen this firsthand too. There's boxes upon boxes. There's boxes now in the main office. There's boxes when you walk into the arena. Well, Stan, the only reason why they're offering they have XL, they have double XL and triple XL hoodies. They're just sold out. I know that because I was the one that packed a few of them a couple weeks ago when I was out there.
Yeah, I was, the word on the street was that you were helping fulfill orders again when you were out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, it's they they have massively upgraded the facilities there over the last 4 or 5 years, but nobody has the facility. Like even Comerica would struggle to move the amount of merchandise that they've had to move from this Moon Mammoth thing. It's remarkable. So
yeah, when I was there Thursday, when I was there Wednesday, I had to scan orders in, and they're fulfilling orders now from like beginning of July now because they just the amount of the stuffed mammoths, they're not getting those until January. I mean, I got, again, props to Christy, and she's been getting a lot of flack from people about, like, she's only one person, and she's got a crew of part-time people, and she's doing the best that she can. All things considering, they've done a phenomenal job of getting stuff out in the first place. And so the amount of merch this year they've sold is, like, triple. I can't get into numbers, but they've just to say this, they're doing a good job, and they've been busy. And so it's enough to where Kim Cattrall, it depends on
what, Samantha from Sex and the City?
Yeah, Samantha or from Porky,
that police officer from Police Academy with
or she was in Porky's, or
was she also in Mannequin?
She was a mannequin, yes.
There
Mannequin 1 and I believe 2. There's 2, right? Is there 2 mannequins?
I don't know. All I know is that one Starship song was the theme song for Mannequin, wasn't it?
Nothing's gonna stop us now. Yeah, nothing's gonna stop us. So the whatchamacallit, she was also in Star Trek. She was in the Discovered Country. Yeah, she was a Vulcan who was trying to sabotage the whatchamacallit,
She did a lot of Vulcan on Sex and the City. All right.
Big Trouble in Little China. Yes. She played in she was in Big Trouble in Little China. She had blue eyes in that movie somehow. She's been in a lot. But Dookie Pickles, you're correct. Erie has a lot of hats now. I mean, by the way, shout out to, I got this hat for Josh. So I got to figure out when I'm going to see Josh. It's a question. But Josh I picked this up for him. So another hat that they did too. So
I have the
black one.
I got that for my son.
Is he wearing it?
A couple years ago.
I thought he was
he's got his Moon Mammoth hat now that he wears. School starts on Tuesday, so he'll probably be wearing that.
Yeah, but anywho, all right. Well, the Tigers game is about to kick off here at 10:05 as at Suter Health Park in Sacramento or Sacktown. I'm not, whatever you want to call it, Sacramento. The feed is still on their logo. On the logo.
I don't. Yeah. Maybe it froze. I don't know.
Oh, maybe it did. Either way, Terry Scoobel will be pitching tonight against JT Ginn, and the Tigers will, after that, go ahead after a series with the A's. They'll take on the Royals, and we'll be in on Thursday. Again, I'll be down probably Toledo at some point this week. Check out the Mud Hens, and don't forget to check out all the great content over at TigersMLReport.com. There's going to be an article dropping tomorrow for Jaden's doing one on Dylan Dingler. We have another notebook, a West Michigan Whitecap notebook from Emily Walden, and
this is my first week not traveling since like the 4th of July, so I can probably do a minor league recap again for once. And I want to do kind of a speculative AFL roster piece before they actually announce it. Not that that's necessarily super fun, but it's just something that I like to think about.
Oh no, that's a sweet idea. I mean, that'd be sweet to see who's, in terms of pitcher wise, I'm really interested to see what they're going to be doing.
Yeah, that's always tough to guess because there may be some guys who are getting ready to come back from injury or are working around in the backfields, and yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah,
but
yeah. So just as a heads up, they are 2XL, 3XLs. They have them available. So I will send you the link, Stan. In fact, I will find the link and I'll send it to you and get that going. So
Cal Raleigh just hit his 50th home run.
Already?
A catcher, yes. And Tony Paul tweeted out that Bobby Scales is switching to the TV booth for this series. Apparently it's he's saying that's his first time in the TV booth this year or ever. I don't know.
He was on the post game a couple times this week. So, cool. Thank you, Kevin, by the way, for joining our Patreon page. Thank you. Really appreciate that. We're trying to for those who are part of the paid tier, we did did the game notes. Like there's different things on there you won't see on the website. And we're trying to we're getting requests about what they like to specifically see. Like, for example, Jerry with his charts, we got some good feedback on that. So if there's something that you want to see in particular on a weekly basis, just let us know. Like these slides are going to go on there as soon as I'm done with the broadcast. Promise this time. But there's we're always looking to make that or fine tweak it a little bit. Even in the off season, there's going to be plenty of stuff. One of the ideas we got was to do more video. And so that's where the idea did for the Riley Green video. And there's a 2021 West Michigan piece that I'm still finally getting to now. So the more feedback we get, the better. We want to make that as interactive as possible. Put all the best content on there. Scouting reports are going up too. I did a Ben Jacobs one, and there's a couple of ones that I've written up on some of the prospects that have been drafted. I just have not had a chance to finish them up. But this week will be, with Labor Day weekend coming up, there's plenty of time. And Chris is back down on the from traveling, so that's going to be very helpful for us. So, yeah, we can definitely do some reports too, right? I mean, we can definitely bust those out. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, keep it classy, everybody. We appreciate it. We'll see you on Thursday for Motor City Metrics. Otherwise, have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. And I did not have the music queued up. That was my fault again. Oh, here we go.